Thank you for choosing to spend the next hour with me. If you're here for C2 level listening, you're in the right place. Because today isn't just easy English. This is real, natural English, the way people actually speak when they're thinking out loud, explaining ideas, and connecting the dots. Quick favor before we start. If you enjoy this style of advanced listening, please tap like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're listening from. And here's a question to answer in the comments too. What's the one app you open just for a second, and then lose way too much time on no judgment? We've all got one. All right, let's dive in. Have you ever picked up your phone to do one simple thing, reply to a message, check the weather, set a timer, and then, somehow, you blink and 20 minutes are gone or an hour, and you're sitting there thinking, wait, how did that happen? That feeling isn't random, and it's not only about weak willpower. Today we're talking about something that's quietly shaping how we live, how we focus, and even how we feel digital addiction in a world that never really turns off. Now, I want to be clear from the start. Technology isn't the villain. Phones aren't evil. Social media isn't automatically toxic. The problem is when our relationship with technology becomes lopsided, when we're not choosing anymore, when we're just reacting. So, what does digital addiction actually mean? At its core, digital addiction is a pattern of using digital devices, phones, tablets, computers, games, social platforms in a way that becomes compulsive and excessive, to the point that it starts harming your well-being, not just your productivity, your sleep, your mood, your relationships, your ability to sit in silence without reaching for a screen. And that word compulsive matters. Compulsive means you feel an almost irresistible urge to do something, even when you've promised yourself you won't. Like this, I have a compulsive habit of checking my phone every few minutes. If that sentence makes you laugh because it's painfully familiar, you're not alone. Another key phrase people use a lot is screen time, the amount of time you spend looking at a screen. And yes, screen time matters, but it's not only about the number. 2 hours on a screen for work isn't the same as 2 hours of late-night doom scrolling that leaves you drained, wired, and vaguely dissatisfied with your life. Here's a more advanced way to say it. It's not just duration, it's quality, control, and consequences. Now, let's talk about warning signs. Not a diagnosis, just signals, little red flags that say, hey, something might be off here. One big sign is restlessness or anxiety when you're offline. That uneasy, itchy feeling when your phone isn't nearby. When you're traveling and the Wi-Fi drops and your brain immediately goes, okay, but what am I missing right now? Another sign is time distortion, losing track of time online. You tell yourself, just one more video, or just one more scroll, and suddenly your evening disappears. It can feel almost trance-like your attention narrows and the outside world fades out. A third sign is avoidance, using your phone to dodge real-life tasks or emotions. You put off work, chores, or difficult conversations. Not because you're lazy, but because the phone is easier. The phone offers quick relief. It gives you a tiny hit of comfort without asking anything from you. And then there's the social side, being physically present but mentally elsewhere. You're at dinner, you're with friends, you're with family, but your attention is split. You're half in the room and half in a feed. If you want some real-life phrases that people actually say, here are a few you might recognize. I feel weird without my phone. I didn't mean to be online that long. Social media started as a break, but now it's kind of draining. I didn't realize how attached I was until I tried to take a break. Notice how honest those sentences sound. They're not dramatic, they're everyday confessions. Now, since this is C2 listening practice, I want to highlight a grammar pattern that shows up naturally in these conversations, the present perfect and present perfect continuous. When we talk about habits that started in the past and continue into the present, we often say things like, I've been spending more time online than I want to. I've been checking my notifications the moment I wake up. I've tried to cut back, but I keep slipping. That structure, I've been plus verbing signals an ongoing pattern. It's perfect for describing modern life because so many of our habits are ongoing. Okay, so why is all of this so hard to resist? Here's the uncomfortable truth. A lot of apps and platforms are designed to keep you engaged. They rely on features that make stopping feel unnatural. Infinite scrolling removes a natural endpoint. Autoplay makes the next thing start before you decide. Notifications interrupt you at random moments. And social platforms add a layer of validation likes, comments, views, streaks. Follower counts tiny signals that make you feel noticed. And yes, your brain responds to those signals. You've probably heard the word dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical involved in motivation and reward. When you experience something rewarding, like a message from someone you like, a funny clip, a like on a post, your brain can release dopamine. And that release doesn't just feel good, it teaches your brain. That was worth repeating. So you repeat it. This is how a reinforcement loop forms. You check your phone, you get a small reward, and your brain learns to check again. Over time, the loop becomes automatic. You don't even notice your hand reaching for your phone. It just happens. And then something subtle changes. You start craving instant gratification. Fast rewards, quick stimulation, constant novelty, which makes slower things, reading, studying, long conversations, deep work feel harder than they used to feel. If that sounds familiar, I want you to pause and take a breath. Because the goal today is not guilt. The goal is clarity. If you can name what's happening, you can change what's happening. So here's a tiny reflection question for you. Right now, when do you reach for your phone most automatically? Is it when you're bored, when you're stressed, when something feels difficult, when you're avoiding a task, when you feel lonely? Just notice it. No pressure to fix it yet. Awareness comes first. And in the next stretch, we'll go deeper into how digital overstimulation affects focus, sleep, and mood, and we'll build a practical vocabulary set you can use to describe it like a native, without sounding overly academic. Let's keep going. That word I used a second ago, overstimulation, is one of the best words to describe what many people feel today, even if they don't have a name for it. Overstimulation is when your brain is flooded with too much input, too many pings, too many videos, too many messages, too many tabs open, too many tiny decisions. You're not physically running, but mentally. It can feel like you've been sprinting all day. And what happens when you're overstimulated for long enough, you can start to feel burned out. Now, burnout isn't only about work. There's something people talk about more and more, Now, digital burnout, that feeling of being tired of screens, tired of being reachable, tired of constant updates while still being unable to stop checking. You might hear someone say, "I'm tired, but I can't switch off. My brain feels noisy. I'm exhausted, but I keep scrolling. I'm drained, and I don't even know why." Those are very real, very modern sentences. And here's where digital addiction becomes more than a time management problem, because this isn't only about time, it's about mental health. Many people notice that heavy, compulsive digital use can connect to anxiety, especially the restless kind, low mood, sometimes linked to comparison and negativity online, sleep problems, which then make everything else worse, attention issues, like struggling to focus on slower tasks, social disconnection, even when you're connected online. Let's talk about sleep for a moment, because it's one of the clearest signs something needs to change. If you're on your phone right before bed, you might be thinking, "I'm just relaxing." But your brain doesn't always read it as relaxing. It reads it as input, light, movement, novelty, emotion, information your brain stays switched on. You might hear people say, "I stayed up later than I planned. I couldn't fall asleep because my mind was racing. I woke up tired even after sleeping." And here's a common cycle: you're tired, so your self-control drops, so you scroll more, so your sleep gets worse, so you're more tired the next day. It's a loop. Now, I want to talk about something that surprises people: how digital habits can shape your sense of time. Have you noticed that time online can feel slippery? 10 minutes can feel like 2. 1 hour can vanish. And then later, when you think back, it's almost like nothing happened. No clear memory, no real satisfaction, just time gone. One way to describe that is I got sucked in, or I went down a rabbit hole, or I lost an hour without noticing. Those are normal phrases native speakers use all the time. Now let's build a stronger vocabulary set. Because at C2 level, you're not just understanding, you're learning to describe complex experiences in a clear, natural way. Here are 5 key terms you'll hear a lot in real conversations. 1. Doom scrolling. This is when you scroll through negative news or stressful content for a long time, even though it makes you feel worse. People say, "I was doom scrolling again last night," or "I need to stop doom scrolling before bed." 2. FOMO, fear of missing out. That anxious feeling that something is happening and you're not part of it. People say, "I kept checking because of FOMO," or "My FOMO gets really bad on weekends." 3. Digital detox. A break from screens, sometimes for a day, a weekend, or longer. People say, "I'm doing a digital detox this weekend," or even "one day off my phone resets my brain." 4. Algorithm and getting fed content. This is huge. Platforms recommend content based on what keeps you watching. People say, "The algorithm knows exactly what I'll click," or "I watched one clip, and the algorithm kept feeding me more." 5. Disconnection anxiety stress when you can't access the internet, your phone, or your usual digital routine. People say, "I felt anxious without Wi-Fi," or "My disconnection anxiety is real." Now, you might be thinking, "Okay, I get it, but what's the solution? How do people actually change this?" We're getting there, but I want to do one important thing first. I want you to hear how a native speaker might talk about this in a calm, honest, everyday way without sounding like a self-help book. Here's a natural, reflective style. I'm not trying to quit my phone. I just want to be the one in control. I want to use it on purpose, not as a reflex. I don't want to lose my evenings without choosing to. And I don't want to feel mentally scattered all the time. That's it. Simple, real. No dramatic language, just clarity. And in the same tone. Here's a sentence you can steal and use in your own life. I'm trying to be more intentional with my screen time. Intentional is a great word. It means you act with a clear purpose, not automatically. Now, let's introduce two more powerful words, isolation and neglect, because they come up often when people talk about digital addiction. Isolation is being separated from meaningful social contact. And yes, it can happen even if you're constantly online. People say I'm online all the time, but I still feel isolated. Neglect is failing to take care of something that matters: your health, your relationships, your work, your responsibilities. People say I've been neglecting my sleep, or I neglected my to-do list and now I'm stressed. Again, notice how normal these sentences are. They're not rare. They're everyday English. Now, before we move into practical solutions, I want to ask you one more question, because this is the turning point for a lot of people. What does your phone give you in the moment? Be honest. It might give you comfort, distraction, relief, entertainment, company, a quick hit of feeling in the loop. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you human. And once you understand what you're really seeking, you can replace the habit with something that gives you the same benefit without the side effects. In the next part, we'll get very practical, simple changes that actually work in real-life notifications, boundaries, tech-free zones, and the surprising tricks people use to make their phones less sticky. Let's get practical. Because it's one thing to understand the psychology, and it's another thing to actually change your day-to-day behavior when your phone is always within reach. So instead of talking about big life transformations, let's focus on small changes that real people actually stick with. The kind of changes you can start today without turning your life upside down. The first strategy is simple, and it's surprisingly powerful. Turn off non-essential notifications. Not all notifications. You don't have to disappear from the world, but you want to stop the constant interruptions that pull you out of your own life. A lot of people don't realize how often their attention gets broken. One notification, then another, then a quick reply, then a quick scroll, then an app switch. Then suddenly, you're not doing what you planned to do anymore. A very natural way to say this is, notifications mess with my focus, or I'm too easy to distract, or I keep getting pulled in. If you want to sound more advanced, you can say, my attention gets fragmented. Fragmented means broken into small pieces, and that's exactly what happens when you're constantly interrupted. Now, the second strategy is a phrase you'll hear everywhere. Set boundaries. A boundary is a limit you set to protect your time, energy, and mental space. And digital boundaries matter because without them, the phone becomes the boss. Here are a few boundaries that people actually use. No phone in bed. No screens during meals. No scrolling before work. A cutoff time at night. A screen-free hour in the morning. And you don't have to do all of those. You just pick one. A very simple sentence is, I'm setting a boundary with my phone, or I'm trying to keep my evenings screen-free. And here's a C2 level tip. Notice how often native speakers use trying to when they talk about behavior change. It's honest, it's realistic, it doesn't sound perfect. I'm trying to stop checking my phone first thing in the morning. I'm trying to be more present. I'm trying to cut back. Now, let's talk about another strategy that sounds almost silly, but works for a lot of people. Make your phone less tempting. Because willpower is unreliable. If you rely only on self-control, you'll lose when you're tired, stressed, or bored. Instead, you want to change the environment so the bad habit is less automatic. Here are a few methods people use. 1. Grayscale mode. This removes color from your screen. Many apps feel less exciting without bright colors. 2. Move addictive apps off your home screen. If you have to search for the app, you create a tiny pause. That pause matters. 3. Log out. If you have to log in every time, you stop opening the app without thinking. 4. Delete apps temporarily, not forever, just for a week, or during exam season, or during a busy work period. People say things like, I deleted the app for a while, just to reset, or I keep it, but I don't keep it on my home screen. Now, let's get into one of the biggest issues, the phone as a stress response. A lot of people don't check their phones because they're having fun. They check their phones because they're avoiding discomfort. Think about the moments when you open your phone without thinking. Waiting in line, riding an elevator, feeling awkward in public, sitting down to start a hard task, feeling lonely at night, after an argument, when you feel overwhelmed, and your brain goes, let's distract ourselves. So, a useful question is, what emotion am I trying not to feel right now? Native speakers might say, I reach for my phone when I feel anxious. I scroll when I'm overwhelmed. I use my phone as a coping mechanism. Coping mechanism is a strong phrase. It means something you do to manage stress. And yes, scrolling can become a coping mechanism. But here's the catch, it often doesn't actually help in the long term. It just postpones the feeling. Then the feeling comes back, plus guilt, plus lost time. Now, I want to give you a realistic approach that doesn't sound like a motivational poster. Replace, don't just remove. If you remove scrolling, you still need something to do, something that gives your brain the same kind of relief, but without pulling you into a loop. Here are realistic replacements. A short walk, stretching, making tea, journaling 1 paragraph, texting one friend directly instead of scrolling, reading 2 pages of a book, listening to a calm podcast with your phone face down, doing one small chore to build momentum. Even brushing your teeth early can help, because it signals I'm winding down. Now, let's build more high-level vocabulary, but still practical. Here are 3 words that come up a lot. Mindfulness. Mindfulness means paying attention to the present moment without judging it. It's not about being zen, it's about noticing your urge without immediately acting on it. You can say, I'm trying to be more mindful about my phone use, or mindfulness helps me pause before I scroll. Self-discipline. Self-discipline is the ability to control impulses and stay aligned with your goals. People say, I need more self-discipline at night, or it's hard, but I'm building self-discipline. Intentional, we mentioned this earlier. Intentional means purposeful. People say, I want my screen time to be intentional, or I don't want to use my phone mindlessly. Mindlessly is another key word. It means without thinking. Now I want to bring in a tiny, everyday scenario that will feel familiar. Imagine this. You finish a long day, you sit down, you feel tired, you tell yourself, I deserve a break. You open your phone. It feels good for a minute, then 1 minute becomes 30. Then you feel slightly annoyed at yourself. You stay up late, you sleep badly, the next day, you're foggy and distracted. That's not a moral failure, that's a pattern. And the solution is not never relax. The solution is learning to relax in a way that actually restores you. So here's a sentence that's both advanced and real. Scrolling doesn't feel restful anymore. It feels numbing. Numbing means it dulls your emotions. It shuts you down instead of refreshing you. If that sentence hits you, you're not alone. Now, in the next part, we're going to go one level deeper. We'll talk about attention, focus, and what it means to train your brain back toward deep concentration, and we'll do it in natural English, with phrases you can actually reuse. Before we move on, do one small thing. Picture your ideal evening. Not perfect, just better. What would you do if your phone didn't steal your time? Hold that image, and if you want to comment. Here's an easy one boundary I want to try is, and finish the sentence. Let's talk about focus, because this is where most people feel the damage first. A lot of learners tell me something like, my English is improving, but I can't concentrate long enough to study properly. Or, I start reading, and after 2 minutes, I feel restless. Or, I keep switching tasks. That constant switching isn't just a personality quirk. It's often a trained response. When you spend hours in an environment built on quick reward short videos, fast scrolling, instant reactions, your brain gets used to rapid changes. And then anything slow starts to feel uncomfortable. You might hear native speakers describe this like, my attention span is shot. I can't focus like I used to. I'm constantly distracted. I'm addicted to stimulation. Attention span is how long you can stay focused on one thing. And my attention span is shot is a casual way to say it's basically damaged. Now, here's something important. Your focus can be rebuilt. You're not stuck. But you rebuild it the same way you build strength in the gym, slowly, consistently, and with realistic expectations. So let's look at how people actually do that. First, you need to understand one idea. Focus isn't one big decision, it's lots of small decisions. Most people don't lose focus because they choose distraction. They lose focus because distraction becomes the default. So a practical goal is not never use your phone. It's reduce the number of automatic moments. Here's an example. If you check your phone 80 times a day, and you reduce it to 60, that's progress. If you reduce it to 40, that's huge. If you reduce it to 20, your life starts to feel different. Now, one of the best tools for rebuilding focus is a concept that sounds boring but works extremely well: single tasking. Single tasking means doing one task at a time fully, not half working, half scrolling, half listening, half replying. A lot of people think multitasking is efficient, but in reality, Multitasking often creates mental stress. You're doing more switching than doing. Here are natural phrases you can use. I'm trying to single task. I'm bad at multitasking. It makes me scattered. I need to stop context switching. Context switching is a more advanced term. It means jumping between different tasks and mental modes. It drains your brain. Now let's bring in something very real, the phone, as a micro escape. Even when you're not addicted, your phone can become this tiny exit door. You feel a little bored. You escape. You feel a little stressed. You escape. You feel a little stuck. You escape. But if you escape every time you feel discomfort, your brain never learns how to stay with discomfort long enough to finish things. And finishing things matters because finishing builds confidence. This is where a C2 level idea comes in: tolerance for discomfort. You don't have to love discomfort. You just need to tolerate it. You can say, I'm building my tolerance for boredom. I'm trying to sit with discomfort instead of escaping. That's very natural advanced English. Now, I want to give you a realistic focus exercise that people actually use. It's not complicated, it's not trendy, it's just effective. The 10-minute rule. When you're about to check your phone, tell yourself, not now, in 10 minutes. That's it. 10 minutes is small enough that your brain doesn't panic. And often, by the time 10 minutes passes, the urge is weaker. A similar version is the finish the sentence rule. If you're working, you don't pick up your phone until you finish the current sentence, or until you finish the current paragraph, or until you complete one tiny task. This trains your brain to complete something before switching. Now, let's talk about something that connects directly to your listening practice today. When your brain is overstimulated, it wants fast content. It wants constant novelty. That can make long listening practice harder, even if your English is good. So, if you sometimes feel restless during long podcasts, that doesn't mean you can't do C2. It might mean your focus system needs training. And the training is exactly what you're doing right now, staying with one topic, following a long line of thought, and letting your brain settle. So if your mind wanders, don't quit, just return. A very native way to say this is, my mind keeps drifting, or I'm zoning out. Zoning out means your attention disappears. It happens to everyone. Now let's shift into a deeper consequence that people don't always talk about: emotional regulation. When your brain is used to constant stimulation, silence can feel uncomfortable, stillness can feel unsettling. You might not even know what you're feeling because you keep covering it with noise. So, part of healthier tech use is learning to feel your emotions again without immediately numbing them. And yes, that can feel strange at first. People say, I don't know how to relax without my phone. I feel restless in silence. I keep reaching for distractions. Now, let's be honest. In today's world, you can't avoid screens completely. So, what's the goal? The goal is digital balance. Digital balance means you use technology in a way that supports your life, instead of taking it over. And a key part of balance is having what I call transition moments. Moments between activities where you don't immediately fill the space with your phone. For example, after you finish work, before you start studying, before you go to sleep, after you wake up, after you arrive home. Those moments are powerful if you protect them. Your day feels calmer. Now, I want to give you a simple listening challenge for the next few minutes. As you listen, try to notice these advanced but common phrases and how they feel in real speech. The default meaning, the automatic option. I'm wired meaning overstimulated and unable to relax. I'm drained meaning emotionally tired. I'm scattered meaning mentally all over the place. I need to reset meaning. I need a break to return to normal. These phrases are incredibly useful, and they sound natural because people actually use them. All right. In the next part, we're going to talk about something a lot of people don't expect: the social side of digital addiction, how it changes relationships, communication, and even your sense of identity online. And I'll keep it real, no preaching, just a clear look at what's happening. Before we move on, comment one quick line if you want. My biggest distraction is, and finish it with one-word notifications, reels, shorts, games, chats, news, anything. Now let's talk about the social side, because this is where things can get quietly painful. A lot of people think digital addiction is only a personal issue like, I waste time. But it often shows up in relationships first, in small moments, in tiny habits that slowly change how connected you feel to other people. Here's a simple example. You're talking to someone, and halfway through the conversation, you feel your phone buzz. You don't even fully decide to check it. Your hand moves, your eyes drop, and the person in front of you feels it immediately. They might not say anything, but they feel it. A very honest way to describe that is, I'm not fully present. Present means mentally and emotionally here, not half somewhere else. People also say, I'm here, but my mind is elsewhere. I keep half listening. I'm distracted even when I don't want to be. And over time, that can create emotional distance. Emotional distance is when people feel less close, less connected, even if they're physically near each other. You might hear someone say, "We're together," but it doesn't feel like we're together. That's a heartbreaking sentence, but it's real. Now, there's another social layer: online connection versus real connection. Online, you can have constant contact messages, reactions, comments, but it doesn't always translate into deep connection. Sometimes it feels like a lot of noise without much intimacy. People say, I talk to everyone, but I feel lonely. I'm connected, but I feel isolated. I'm always online, but I don't feel close to anyone. And that's one of the weirdest parts of modern life. You can be surrounded by content and still feel empty. Now, let's talk about a word that comes up a lot in this context: validation. Validation is the feeling of being seen, approved of, or accepted. Likes and comments can feel like validation. And when you're not getting it, you might start chasing it without realizing. This is where social media can become emotionally addictive, not just entertaining. People say things like, I keep checking to see if anyone liked it. I'm waiting for a response. I hate that I care, but I care. That last one is very human. Now, I want to introduce a phrase that native speakers use all the time, especially when they feel trapped in a habit. I'm caught in a loop. For example, I'm caught in a loop. I post something, then I check for reactions, then I feel anxious, then I check again. That is exactly how it can feel. And here's another phrase. It messes with my head. If something messes with your head, it affects your emotions or thoughts in a confusing way. People say, social media messes with my head sometimes. Not dramatic, just honest. Now, let's get deeper. Because at C2 level, you can handle nuance. Digital addiction isn't only about behavior, it can influence identity. Online, you can curate your life. You can present the best version, the fun version, the confident version, the successful version. But real life is messy. Real life includes boredom, insecurity, failure, awkward moments, slow progress. So if you spend too much time consuming perfect images and highlight reels, you might start comparing your real life to someone else's edited life. People describe this like, I start comparing myself. It makes my life feel smaller. I feel behind. I feel like everyone else is doing better. And yes, comparison can hit anyone, even people who know it's fake. Now, one of the most useful C2 phrases in this area is, it's a double-edged sword. A double-edged sword means something has both benefits and drawbacks. You can say, social media is a double-edged sword. It connects people, but it can also make you feel worse. That sentence sounds natural and mature. Now, let's talk about something very practical, again, tech etiquette. In many countries, the social norm is changing. People are starting to notice phone use more. There's a growing sensitivity to being ignored. So you might hear someone say, "Can you put your phone away for a second? Are you listening? You're always on your phone." It feels like you're not really here. Those sentences can start fights, and they can also wake people up. Now, I don't want this to feel heavy. So let's bring in a constructive angle. If you want to protect relationships, here are 2 simple habits that help a lot. One phone face down. It's a small signal of respect. It says, you have my attention. 2, one check rule. If you're with someone, you check your phone once quickly, then you put it away. No constant checking. A natural sentence is, let me check this once, then I'm putting it away. It sounds polite and adult. Now, here's something interesting. People often think they need a big detox, but for many, the best change is small daily rituals. For example, texting one friend and asking a real question, calling someone instead of scrolling, going for a walk without headphones once a day, eating one meal with no screens, putting the phone in another room while working. These are simple, but they build a different life. Now, I want to do something for your listening practice. I'm going to give you a short set of sentences that you can repeat later because they're extremely natural, C2 level, and useful for real conversation. I don't want to be reachable all the time. I miss being fully present. I'm trying to be more intentional with my attention. I don't want to live on autopilot. I want my phone to be a tool, not a trap. That last one is powerful, a tool, not a trap. Now, in the next part, we'll zoom out a little. We'll talk about the bigger picture, how platforms shape behavior, how habits become automatic, and how you can rebuild a healthier relationship with technology without becoming extreme or unrealistic. And I'll also give you a clean, simple reset plan you can follow, something you can actually stick to. Before we move on, here's a comment prompt you can use if you want to engage with your audience. Have you ever been told, "You're always on your phone"? How did it make you feel? Now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture, because once you see the system, a lot of your behavior starts to make sense. We live in what people often call the attention economy. That's not just a catchy phrase, it means your attention is valuable. And many platforms compete for it the same way businesses compete for money. The longer you stay, the more likely you are to click, watch, share, buy, or come back tomorrow. So the goal of many platforms is not, how do we make you feel calm and satisfied? The goal is usually, how do we keep you engaged? And engagement is often driven by a few predictable mechanisms. One of the biggest is intermittent rewards. Intermittent means not consistent, not predictable. Sometimes you get something interesting, sometimes you don't. And strangely, that unpredictability can be more addictive than a guaranteed reward. Think about it. If every post you saw was boring, you'd stop. But if one post out of 10 is amazing, your brain starts saying, maybe the next one will be good, and you keep going. A very natural way to say it is, I keep scrolling because I'm looking for something. And if you want to sound more advanced, I'm chasing a hit of novelty. Novelty means newness, fresh stimulation, something different. Now add algorithms to this. An algorithm is basically a system that learns what keeps you engaged, then serves you more of it. It's not judging your character, it's not thinking about your mental health, it's optimizing for what you watch, what you click, what you replay, what you linger on. So if you keep watching short clips late at night, the platform learns this person likes this at this time, and it becomes a routine. You might hear someone say, my feed feels like it's reading my mind, or it's scary how accurate the recommendations are. Now, there's a concept from behavioral science that explains how habits become automatic. It's usually described as a loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. A cue is the trigger, the thing that starts it, a notification, boredom, stress, silence, a difficult task, a moment of loneliness. Craving is the urge, the desire for relief or stimulation. Response is what you do. You open the app, you scroll, you check. Reward is what you get. A funny clip, a message, a distraction, a sense of being busy, even a feeling of control for a second. The problem is that the reward doesn't have to be amazing. It just has to be enough to keep the loop alive. So the question becomes, how do you break the loop without becoming extreme? Here's the key idea. You don't fight your phone with motivation. You change your phone with systems. Systems beat willpower. So I'm going to give you a realistic reset plan, not a fantasy. A plan that works even if you're busy, tired, and imperfect. I call it the 3-part reset. Part 1 is awareness. For one day, you don't try to change anything. You just notice patterns. You ask yourself, what are my top 3 triggers? Is it boredom, stress, loneliness, procrastination, or fatigue? A very natural sentence is, I've noticed I reach for my phone when I feel overwhelmed. Part 2 is friction. Friction is anything that makes a habit slightly harder. The goal is not to punish yourself. The goal is to create a pause, so your brain has time to choose. Here are friction tools that real people use. Turn off badges and banners for distracting apps. Put your most addictive apps in a folder on the last page. Remove social apps from your home screen. Use Do Not Disturb for focus hours. Keep the phone out of reach when you work, not in your hand, not on the table, out of reach. A great phrase here is, I'm reducing temptation. Part 3 is replacement. This is where many people fail. They remove the habit, but they don't replace the need. So you choose 1 or 2 quick replacements that match your trigger. If your trigger is boredom, you need something light and engaging. If your trigger is stress, you need something soothing. If your trigger is loneliness, you need real connection. Here are realistic replacements. A 2-minute breathing reset. Stretching for 5 minutes. A short walk around your room or your house. A quick voice note to a friend. A journal line, right now I feel. A cup of water and a window break. Reading 1 page of something simple. The goal is not to become a different person overnight. The goal is to give your brain another path. Now let's make it even easier. Here's a 24-hour reset that many people can actually do. Step 1, choose a time window. For example, from 9 p.m. to bedtime, or from waking up to breakfast, just 1 window. Step 2, protect that window with 1 boundary. No social media, or no short videos, or no news. Pick one. Step 3, plan 1 replacement activity, so you don't panic and fall back into scrolling. And after 24 hours, you don't ask, did I become perfectly disciplined? You ask, how did I feel? Was my mind calmer? Did I sleep better? Was I more present? Now, if you want to go 1 step further, do a 7-day reset, but keep it small. For 7 days, choose just 2 rules. Rule 1, no phone in bed. Rule 2, 1 screen-free meal a day. That's it. If you can do those 2 things, you'll notice changes, maybe not dramatic, but real. Now, because this is advanced listening practice, I want you to absorb a few high-level words that fit perfectly here, and that native speakers actually use. Taper off to reduce something gradually. I'm tapering off my late-night scrolling. Relapse to fall back into an old habit. I relapsed last night and stayed up too late. That word sounds serious, but people use it casually too. Baseline your normal level. My baseline anxiety drops when I stay off social media at night. Opt out to choose not to participate. I'm opting out of constant updates. And here's a powerful phrase. I'm reclaiming my attention. Reclaim means take back something that was taken or lost. Your attention is yours. You can take it back. Now, let me add something that keeps this realistic. If you slip, don't do the all-or-nothing mindset. Don't say, I failed, so I might as well give up. That thinking keeps people stuck. Instead, say, okay, I slipped. What was the trigger? Because the trigger is the lesson. And if you want 1 sentence that sounds calm, native, and emotionally mature, use this. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm trying to be consistent. That sentence is gold. Before we move to the next part, do 1 small check-in. Right now, if you had to pick 1 area to improve first, which one would it be? Sleep, focus, mood, relationships, or time management? Drop 1 word in the comments. Just 1 word. And if this episode is helping you, take 1 second to like and subscribe. It tells YouTube to share this with more learners who want real, advanced English. All right, let's bring this into real-life work. Friends, family, daily routines, because boundaries sound great in theory. But in practice, you often need language. You need the right words to say what you mean without sounding rude, defensive, or dramatic. So in this part, we're going to practice natural C2 level English for setting boundaries and protecting your attention, especially in situations where people expect you to be available all the time. Let's start with work, because work is where a lot of people feel trapped. If you work remotely, or even if you don't, you might feel like messages never stop. Emails, chats, notifications. It can feel like you're always on call, even when you're technically off work. A common sentence people say is, "Work is bleeding into my personal life." Bleeding into means it's spilling over, mixing in, invading. You might also hear, "I can't fully switch off. I feel like I'm always on. There's no clear boundary anymore." Now, if you want to set a boundary at work without causing conflict, here are some natural phrases native speakers use. "I'm offline after 7 p.m., but I'll respond first thing in the morning." "I'm in focus mode right now. Can I get back to you later?" "I'm trying to protect a few hours for deep work." "If it's urgent, call me. If not, I'll reply when I'm back online." Notice the tone: calm, clear, not emotional, not apologizing too much. Here's a C2 level phrase that sounds professional. "I'm setting expectations around response time." That means you're explaining when people should expect a reply. Now, let's shift to family and relationships. This is tricky because sometimes your phone is not only entertainment, it's also connection. It's messages from family, friends, partners. So the goal is not to disappear. The goal is to be deliberate. Here are some very human sentences that are still natural and mature. "I don't want to ignore you. I just need a break from my phone." "Can we have a no-phone dinner tonight?" "I want to be more present with you." "I feel like we're together, but not really together, and I want to change that." Now, I want you to hear a key concept: micro-boundaries. Micro-boundaries are small boundaries that don't feel extreme. They're tiny choices that protect your day. Examples: putting your phone in another room while you shower, keeping your phone out of your bedroom, charging your phone away from your bed, leaving your phone on silent during meals, turning off autoplay, muting group chats that drain you. The magic is that micro-boundaries are easier to keep, and consistency changes your baseline. Now, one of the biggest challenges is social pressure. Sometimes you feel like you need to respond immediately, or people will think you're rude, or you worry you'll miss something important. This is where FOMO and obligation mix together. So you need language for that too. Here are natural ways to say it. "I'll reply when I can. I'm not ignoring you." "I'm trying not to be glued to my phone." "I'm taking a little break from social media." "I'm cutting back for my mental health." Glued to my phone is a very common phrase. It means you're always looking at it. And cutting back is another great phrase. It means reducing gradually, not quitting forever. Now, let's talk about a powerful long-term strategy that people often underestimate. Create stopping points. A lot of digital addiction happens because there's no natural end. In real life, there are endings. A chapter ends, a meeting ends, a class ends, a meal ends. But online, The feed never ends. So, one healthy habit is to create your own endings. For example, watch one video, not 10. Read 3 posts, then stop. Set a timer for 15 minutes. Scroll only while standing, not lying down. Decide your last check time at night. People say, "I'm giving myself a hard stop." A hard stop means a firm ending time. Now, here's something that helps a lot: transition rituals. A transition ritual is a small routine that marks a shift in your day. For example, after work, instead of opening your phone, you make tea, change clothes, wash your face, step outside for 2 minutes, stretch something simple that tells your brain, work is done. This reduces the urge to numb yourself with scrolling. A natural sentence is, "I need a better way to decompress." Decompress means relax after pressure, like releasing tension. Now, I want to give you a short spoken practice section sentences that are perfect for shadowing because they sound like real life. Repeat these later if you want. 1. I'm not trying to quit my phone. I'm trying to stop using it automatically. 2. I want to be more present, especially in the evenings. 3. I'm setting a boundary because I need better sleep. 4. I'm muting notifications so I can focus. 5. I'll get back to you when I'm back online. 6. I'm taking a short break from social media to reset my brain. Now, there's a deeper shift I want you to consider. This is the mindset change that makes everything easier. Stop seeing this as discipline and start seeing it as design. Design your environment so the healthy choice is easier. Because the truth is, nobody has unlimited willpower. Even the most disciplined people protect themselves with systems. So ask yourself, where is my phone when I work? Where is my phone when I sleep? What apps are easiest to access? What time of day am I most vulnerable? Then you design around that. Here's a very modern phrase: I'm setting myself up for success. Now, let's add one more piece: self-talk. The way you speak to yourself matters. If you talk to yourself with shame, you'll look for escape. If you talk to yourself with calm honesty, you'll build change. Instead of "I'm hopeless," say, "Okay, this is a habit. Habits can change." Instead of "I failed," say "I slipped." What triggered it? Instead of "I have no self-control," say "My environment makes it hard. I'm adjusting it." This is real, adult language, and it helps. Now, in the next part, we're going to bring everything together with a clear, realistic plan you can follow for the next week, something that supports sleep, focus, and mood all at once. And we'll end with a thoughtful closing that feels motivating but not cheesy. Before we move on, here's a comment prompt that works well for engagement. What's one time of day you want to be less on your phone: morning, afternoon, evening, or late night? Drop one word: morning, afternoon, evening, or late night. Now, let's pull everything together into something you can actually follow. Because information is nice, but a plan changes your life. And the best plan is one you can keep doing on an ordinary week when you're busy, tired, and not in the mood. So here's a simple 7-day reset plan. It's not extreme. It's designed to reduce late-night scrolling, rebuild focus, and make your relationship with your phone feel calmer without pretending you live in a cabin with no Wi-Fi. And while you listen, Keep this in mind, you're not trying to become perfect. You're trying to become steady. The 7-day reset plan. Rule 1. Protect your first 30 minutes of the day. No social media, no short videos, no news feed. If you need your phone for an alarm or a message, that's fine. Just don't open the apps that pull you into a loop. A natural sentence you can use is, I don't want my phone to set the tone for my day. Because the first thing you consume often shapes your mood. Rule 2. Protect your last 30 minutes of the day. This one is huge for sleep. No scrolling in bed, no autoplay, no random one more thing. A very common phrase is, I'm trying to wind down properly. Wind down means relax and slow your mind down before sleep. Rule 3. Choose one screen-free anchor every day. An anchor is a stable habit, something you do daily that grounds you. Pick one of these. One screen-free meal. A 15-minute walk without your phone. A shower with your phone outside the bathroom. A 20-minute focus block with the phone in another room. One anchor is enough. Consistency matters more than intensity. Now, let's make this plan feel real by giving each day a theme. You don't have to follow this perfectly, it just helps you stay focused. Day 1, Awareness Day. Today, you observe. You don't change much, you just notice triggers. Ask yourself, when do I reach for my phone without thinking? What am I trying to avoid? What do I do when I feel bored? And here's a good, calm sentence, I'm learning my patterns. Day 2, Notification Cleanup. Today, you reduce noise. Turn off notifications that don't matter. Mute group chats that drain you. Remove the apps that tempt you from your home screen. A sentence that sounds natural and confident, I'm making my phone less intrusive. Intrusive means it interrupts you and pushes into your space. Day 3, Sleep Protection. Today, you focus on one thing, sleep. Your goal is not sleep perfectly. Your goal is to stop feeding your brain endless stimulation at night. Try one or two of these. Charge your phone away from your bed. Set a cutoff time, last check at 9:30. Replace scrolling with something simple, stretching. A shower, reading 2 pages. And if you slip, don't spiral, just reset. A helpful sentence is, I'm not punishing myself, I'm resetting. Day 4, Focus Training. Today, you rebuild attention gently. Do one focus block 20 minutes, phone out of reach, one task only. When you finish, you don't reward yourself with a mindless scroll. You reward yourself with something that actually feels good: water, movement, music, a quick walk, a snack. A phrase that fits here, I'm rebuilding my focus. One block at a time. Day 5, Real Connection. Today, you replace passive scrolling with real contact. Send one real message to a real person, not a reaction, not a like, a message. Examples. Hey, how are you doing, really? I saw something that reminded me of you. Do you have time for a quick call this week? This matters because loneliness often drives scrolling. A simple sentence, I'm choosing connection over consumption. Day 6, Weekend Boundaries. Weekends are tricky because you have more unstructured time. So create structure. Decide your scroll window instead of scrolling all day. Plan one offline activity. Do a short digital detox, half a day is enough. A calm sentence, I want my weekend to feel like a weekend. Day 7, review and adjust. Today, you reflect. Ask yourself, what worked surprisingly well? What was harder than I expected? What time of day is my weak spot? What's one change I can keep next week? And here's the mindset that keeps people going. Small changes count. Because they do. Now. I want to address something that many people feel but don't say out loud. Sometimes, when you try to reduce screen time, you don't just feel bored, you feel exposed, like you suddenly notice your stress more, or your loneliness more, or your uncertainty more. That can be uncomfortable, and it can make you want to escape again. So when that feeling shows up, try one sentence, say it quietly to yourself. This feeling is temporary. I don't have to run from it. That's a real skill. That's emotional strength. Now, since this is C2 listening practice, let's add a few more natural, high-level phrases that fit perfectly with this plan. I'm cutting down, not cutting it out. I'm trying to be more deliberate. I'm breaking the habit loop. I'm protecting my attention. I'm creating a bit more space in my day. Creating space is a beautiful phrase. It means you're giving yourself room to think and breathe. Now, quick check-in. If you had to choose just one piece of this plan, to start with just one, what would it be? First 30 minutes screen-free. Last 30 minutes screen-free. Turning off notifications. One focus block. One screen-free meal. Pick one. That's your starting point. And if you want to engage with this video, pause for a second and comment. This week, I'm starting with, and finish the sentence. Also, if you've been listening up to this point, you're already doing something powerful. You're training focus. You're staying with a long topic in English. That's C2 level effort. So if this is helping you, please like the video and subscribe to English in Motion. It helps the channel grow, and it helps other learners find long form. Real English listening practice like this. Now, let's talk about the long game. Because the real goal isn't to do a reset for 7 days and then go straight back to old habits. The real goal is to build a relationship with technology that feels healthy, stable, and realistic. And the key word here is sustainable. Sustainable means you can keep doing it without burning out. So instead of asking, how do I quit my phone? A better question is, how do I live with technology without losing myself in it? That's a modern question, and it deserves a modern answer. Here's the honest truth. Your phone will always be tempting when you're tired. That won't change. What changes is your system, your boundaries, your environment, and the way you respond to the urge. So I want to give you 3 long-term principles you can remember easily. Principle 1, make the default healthy. Remember this phrase, the default. Your default is what happens when you're not thinking. If your default is opening social media, you'll do it 1,000 times. If your default is putting your phone down after dinner, you'll do that too if you build it in. So the question is, what is your default right now? And how do you change it? Simple examples. Put a book next to your bed instead of your phone. Charge your phone across the room. Keep your phone out of your hand when you're watching something. Use a real alarm clock if needed. Keep a notepad nearby so you can write a thought instead of opening your phone. These are small design choices, but they shape your default behavior. A natural sentence is, I'm changing my default settings in real life. Principle 2. Protect your vulnerable times. Everyone has vulnerable times. Late night, early morning, after work. When you feel lonely, when you feel stressed, when you feel bored. The mistake is trying to be disciplined all day. Instead, protect the moments when you're most likely to slip. People say, "Nights are my weak spot," or "I struggle most when I'm tired." That's honest, and it's useful. If you know your weak spot, you design around it. For example, at night, you put your phone away earlier. When you're stressed, you choose a replacement activity. When you're bored, you do something small that gives you movement and energy. Principle 3. Don't aim for 0, aim for control. A lot of people think success means 0 screen time. That's not realistic, and it's not necessary. Success is control. Success is being able to say, "I'll use my phone now, and I'll stop when I choose to." That's power. And if you want a phrase that captures this perfectly, here it is. I want to be the one in charge. Simple, strong, real. Now, let's talk about consistency. Because most people don't fail because they don't know what to do. They fail because they get tired of trying. So here's a mindset shift that helps. Don't measure your success by one day. Measure it by your trend. A trend means the general direction over time. If you have one bad night, that doesn't erase your progress. A calm sentence is, "One off day doesn't define me." Now, there's another important piece: self-compassion. Self-compassion doesn't mean making excuses. It means treating yourself like a human being, not like a machine. Because shame often triggers more scrolling. People say, "I feel guilty, so I scroll more." "I'm stressed about my habits, so I escape." That's common. So instead of shame, you use calm honesty. Try this sentence. "I'm learning, I'm adjusting, I'll try again." That tone is everything. Now, let's connect this back to your English learning, because this video is also about fluency. If you want to reach a truly advanced level C2, your brain needs sustained attention, long listening, deep reading, consistent speaking practice. That's hard to do if your mind is constantly jumping. So, reducing digital distraction isn't just about productivity. It supports your language growth too. And here's something many learners don't realize. When you improve your focus in daily life, your English improves faster because you can actually stay with the language long enough for it to sink in. A natural phrase is, "It sinks in." To sink in means to be understood deeply and remembered. You might say, "When I practice without distractions, the vocabulary sinks in." Now, I want to add a short section of advanced, natural expressions that are perfect for real conversation about this topic. Listen to these and notice the rhythm. I'm trying to be more mindful, not more strict. I'm not anti-technology, I'm pro-balance. I don't want to waste my evenings without noticing. I want to feel like my time belongs to me. I'm done with the one more scroll trap. Pro-balance is a nice phrase. It sounds modern, and it's clear. Now, there's one more truth that makes people uncomfortable, but it helps. Sometimes you don't need more tips, you need fewer triggers. You don't need a perfect strategy, you need a calmer environment. And a calmer environment starts with small choices every day. Now let's do a short, guided reflection, just for a minute. Ask yourself, what do I want more of in my life? More sleep, more focus, more calm, more real connection, more progress. What is my phone taking from me? Time, peace, presence, energy. What's one change I can protect this week? Just one. Because one change, protected consistently, becomes a new identity. And that's the long game. If you're still listening right now, you've already done something impressive. You've stayed with a long, detailed topic in English. That matters. That is practice. So, again, if this video is helping you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's also learning English. It supports the channel, and it helps more learners find long-form C2 listening practice. In the final part, we'll close with a strong, calm ending, something you can replay, something that leaves you motivated without pressure. We'll also recap the key vocabulary and leave you with one final question to carry into your week. All right, let's bring this to a close in a way that feels grounded and real. Today, we talked about something that a lot of people experience, but many people don't fully understand until they step back and look at it clearly: how digital life can quietly turn into digital addiction, how our phones can start running our attention, our sleep, our mood, and our relationships. And the core message is not technology is bad. The message is your attention is valuable, your time is real, and your life is happening outside the screen. So let's do a calm recap of what you learned today. Using natural language. We defined digital addiction as compulsive, excessive device use that starts harming your well-being. We talked about warning signs: feeling anxious when you're offline, losing track of time and getting pulled into rabbit holes, neglecting sleep, tasks, or relationships, feeling mentally scattered and overstimulated, being present physically but not emotionally. We explored why it's so hard to resist. Apps are built to hold attention. Infinite scroll removes stopping points. Notifications create constant triggers. Algorithms learn what keeps you watching. Dopamine-based reward loops reinforce the habit. Intermittent rewards keep you searching for just one more. And we talked about real consequences: poor sleep, weaker focus, more anxiety or low mood, emotional disconnection, social isolation despite being connected. But we also talked about solutions that real people actually use: turning off non-essential notifications, setting clear boundaries, creating tech-free zones, adding friction to addictive habits, replacing scrolling with healthier alternatives, protecting vulnerable times like late nights, using micro-boundaries instead of extreme rules, building consistency instead of chasing perfection. And we ended with a sustainable long-term mindset. Don't aim for zero, aim for control. Now, since this is C2 level listening practice, let's quickly review some key vocabulary you heard, and I want you to keep these because they're real-life English, not textbook English. Compulsive, driven by an urge you struggle to resist. Screen time spent on screens. Reinforcement loop, reward cycle that strengthens a habit. Instant gratification, wanting rewards immediately. Overstimulation, too much input, too much noise, too much novelty. Burnout, digital burnout, mental exhaustion linked to constant demands and screens. Doom scrolling, endless, scrolling through negative content, FOMO, fear of missing out, digital detox break from devices, algorithm system that recommends content to keep you engaged, disconnection, anxiety, stress when you can't get online, boundaries, limits that protect your time and mental space, mindfulness, awareness of the present moment, without judgment, intentional, purposeful, not automatic, fragmented attention focus broken into small pieces, hard stop, a firm ending point, decompress, unwind after pressure, sustainable, something you can keep doing long term. If you want to improve your fluency, try this. Choose 5 of these words and make one sentence with each one about your own life. That turns vocabulary into real communication. Now, let's end with something simple and useful. Here's a short closing message you can carry into your week. You don't need to change everything. You don't need to become a different person overnight. You just need one small boundary that protects your time, one small change that makes your day calmer, one small habit that gives your attention back to you. Because when you protect your attention, you protect your life. And one last reflection question for you. This is the question I want you to think about after the video ends. What do you want your time to go to this week on purpose? Not what it goes to automatically, not what steals it, what you choose. If you want to interact with the video, answer this in the comments. This week, I want my time to go to, and finish the sentence with something real: sleep, study, exercise, family, a hobby, learning English, reading, peace of mind, anything. If you stayed until the end, I really appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, and come back for more long-form advanced English listening practice. Your support helps the channel grow and helps more learners around the world reach real fluency. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.